Good evening. You are tuning in to AWANI Tonight with me, Cynthia Ng. Federal government returns control of Sipadan and Ligitan to Sabah, while Sarawak given guest rights. And should vaccinations be made mandatory? That's coming up. The federal government will return the administration of the Sipadan and Ligitan Islands to Sabah, while Sarawak will have full control and management of its gas distribution. The announcements were made following today's Special Council meeting on Malaysia Agreement 1963.
Minister in the Prime Minister's Department in charge of Sabah and Sarawak affairs, Datuk Sri Maximus Ongkili, said the two islands are put under the supervision of Sabah Parks and placed under protection of the Protected Areas and Protected Places Act 1959. However, this is with the exception of security control, which will still be under the federal government. As for the handover to Sarawak over the control and management of gas distribution under the Distribution of Gas Ordinance 2016, it will take effect from June 1st.
Phase 2 of the National COVID-19 immunization program will begin in 5 days, but only over 8.6 million of the population have registered to be vaccinated. In order to achieve herd immunity by December, the government said that it may have to make the tough decision on making vaccination mandatory by this September if registrations remain low. Now, with many health regulators debating the idea, should vaccinations be made mandatory in Malaysia? We speak to virologist, Associate Professor Dr. Chi Hui to discuss about the issues surrounding mandatory vaccination.
You see, when we ask Malaysian governments make it mandatory to wear masks when you're in the public, actually, you will see most of our citizens wear masks, but not Western country. You will see a lot of resistance and they are calling a lot of strict demonstrations. They call a lot of people to speak on the social media and spread the fake informations. So this is how we see it from Western population, Western citizens, but not Asians. I believe that Malaysian citizens will be able to accept as these vaccines to make it as a mandatory. Because now the vaccination program just started about a month ago. You see, people are still sitting there. They want to see what is the outcome. I think by August, it could be 50% of the population is already vaccinated. And those that is the hesitancy may reduce because they will see these positive or the positive more than the negative, the side effect. It will have a positive side effect rather than a negative side effect.
In addressing vaccine hesitancy among the population, Dr. Chi suggests a targeted approach to ensure that more people will register for vaccination.
We have to do a targeted approach, which we have to analyze. Again, I mentioned we have to analyze the information that who register in the MySejahtera. Which population is actually have low registrations, then we do more promotions, awareness, dialogue, forum, whatever that we can do. And there is one analysis indicated that employer is quite a high influencer for their employee to actually to get the vaccine. So perhaps you can go through the employer to promote the benefit of vaccinations, and or community leaders, NGO leaders, religious leaders. This is what I can think of that our government should put more effort in effective communications rather than you make it mandatory for the vaccinations. It's a civil responsibility for us to take a vaccine, again, to protect those that have some underlying diseases who are unable to be vaccinated. So we have to protect those people and also our loved one. Maybe our loved one will be the one who are unable to get vaccine due to some others underlying diseases. So please, if you are healthy, please step forward to register in MySejahtera and get vaccinated.
One of the reasons why COVID-19 vaccine supply in Malaysia remains low is because wealthier countries are hoarding the market. Science, Technology and Innovation Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said this is because wealthier nations have bought enough vaccines for their citizens 3 to 5 times over.
He noted that many pharmaceutical companies would give preference to the wealthier nations, forcing middle-income countries such as Malaysia to manage the supply of vaccines from several sources. Yesterday, Khairi projected the supply of vaccines will exceed the demand in June. However, the main challenge now is to get people to register for vaccination. As of Tuesday, 35.8% of the population over the age of 18 have registered to be vaccinated. But just over 2.3% have received at least one dose of the vaccine. Malaysia expects to receive enough vaccines from its suppliers to vaccinate 80% of its population by October.
Recently, Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said that the government is running out of money due to efforts to prop up the economy during the pandemic. However, think tank Research for Social Advancement or REFSA believes that the government should ramp up its spending instead of slowing it down. How can Malaysia promote economic growth amidst tough times? We ask Tan Ihan from REFSA.
Prime Minister was looking at the numbers overall. From our point of view, firstly, the government did not really spend 340 billion. According to the Ministry of Finance, the total value of all the 7 stimulus packages is 340 billion in figure. But in fact, direct government expenditure through fiscal injections is only 21.4%. which is 72.6 billion. The amount that has actually been spent could actually be even lower than the 72.6 billion because of the time lag between the announcement of the figure and what has actually been dispersed. So I think the figures here used was in relation to different figures. Majority of the other amounts of the 200 over billion amount, it doesn't come directly through the government. It comes from the loan moratorium, 100 billion, 40 billion of withdrawal is from EPF, from the people's own savings, tax exempt.
So what are some of the measures the government can implement to restore fiscal discipline and promote economic growth?
We are not advocating for reckless spending, but I think at this point, it could be a bit too soon to talk about restoring fiscal discipline. Once the pandemic is under control, vaccinations are underway, herd immunity is within reach, pressure on the healthcare system is decreasing, so on. I think only at that point can we start talking about reining in spending. And I think the way to do this is a sector by sector in a targeted approach. So as an example, Bank Negara Malaysia have all the data on the loan moratoriums, so they can tell which sector is doing badly, which sector is doing well, and hence can gradually withdraw support for that specific sector that are doing well, and gradually move towards a more balanced budgetary approach and reduce spending as it goes along. Let's shift towards more stimulus packages rather than life support measures, which we believe is necessary. For the last couple of months, even the last 1 year or so, we needed that. But we should focus more on long-term strategic investments and infrastructures that will create more multiplier effect to dealing with whatever is coming. Some people call it COVID economy. Whatever is coming, so that we can create growth in the economy and not just contain and manage the crisis, as we put it.
Johor has sacked the most police officers due to infractions and abuses. State Police Chief Commissioner Dato' Ayub Khan Madin Piche said 46 were fired from the force last year, and the department is going to sack 12 more officers this week.
This will bring the total number of Johor officers sacked so far this year to 20.
Saya pun tidaklah berniat, tuan-tuan. Bukannya satu kebanggaan apabila saya mengatakan tindakan buang kerja di Johor ni yang paling tinggi. Tahun lepas 46, tahun ini yang cakap ni dah dekat 20, tuan-tuan. Bukan satu kebanggaan. Tapi saya nak kongsi, ini menunjukkan tindakan kita ketegasan dan tindakan kita, tuan-tuan, kita tidak berkompromi. Banyak lagi orang nak masuk polis lain. Orang nak minta kerja banyak. Yang ada ni yang tak guna ni kita buang cepat. Jangan ditinggalkan dalam pasukan yang boleh menjadi barah kanser, tuan-tuan.
He said among the officers' infractions are drug abuse and involvement in criminal activities, including commercial crimes and corruption.
We'll take a short break. Stay with us.
Untuk memastikan berada ke depan dan menghentikan induknya adalah Melayu Islam.
Orang yang membuat polisi.
Kalau itu yang dikehendaki, fine. Mungkin kita berbeza pandangan.
Tapi kita mempunyai kuasa yang boleh menentukan budaya di masa hadapan.
Polisi yang mesra wanita sudah tentu dia akan datang daripada pemimpin wanita.
Welcome back. In India, thousands of people defied curfews and gathered to celebrate the religious Kumbh Mela festival, despite India reporting another record high number of COVID cases. Over 184,000 new infections were reported in the last 24 hours, hitting the world's highest daily tally once again.
Hundreds of thousands of Hindus gathered to bathe in the Ganges River today on the third key day of the weeks-long festival. India reported over 1,000 deaths in the country due to COVID-19 in the last 24 hours, bringing the death toll to over 172,000. Maharashtra, India's richest state, is now the epicenter of the second wave, with over 10,000 cases reported daily. The state, as well as commercial center Mumbai, is due to enter full lockdown at midnight until end of April.
After nearly 20 years, President Joe Biden has decided the United States has seen enough of the war in Afghanistan. The U.S. will withdraw all American and allied forces by September 11, the fateful day which led to the American invasion almost 2 decades ago. Nearly 2,400 American troops have died in Afghanistan in a conflict that has cost about $2 trillion. In February last year, Donald Trump's administration signed an agreement with the Taliban in which America committed to have its troops leave by this May in exchange for the Taliban's commitments to not back Al-Qaeda and other foreign extremists. As the Afghan and U.S. governments negotiate peace with the Taliban, it is feared that America's exit could lead to a civil war and create a breeding ground for international terrorists. In the U.S., hundreds of protesters gathered for a third night to express anger over the police killing of a black man. 20-year-old Dante Wright was killed outside Minneapolis, prompting anger and clashes with law enforcement.
Tension soared among the black community, already on edge over the ongoing trial of an officer accused of killing another black man, George Floyd, last year. Brooklyn Center Police Chief Tim Gannon said he believes the female officer, identified by authorities as Kim Potter, intended to deploy her stun gun when she accidentally shot 20-year-old Wright. Crowds demonstrate outside police headquarters, throwing fireworks and bottles at officers who responded with tear gas and stun grenades.
South Korea is looking to petition at an international court over Japan's decision to release water from its Fukushima nuclear plant. On Tuesday, Japan said it plans to release more than 1 million tons of contaminated water into the ocean from the plant, destroyed by a devastating earthquake and tsunami 10 years ago.
Japan said the water will be treated and diluted so radiation levels are below those set for drinking water. But the local fishing industry and a few countries have strongly opposed the move. Tokyo says work to release water used to cool nuclear fuel will begin in about 2 years. The final approval comes after years of debate and is expected to take decades to complete.
Can Malaysia's low wages and labour market problems be addressed through a greater emphasis on technical and vocational education and training? Tonight on Consider This, we ask our panellists if TVET is a game changer for employment woes. That is all we have for you on AWANI tonight. Get the latest news updates on COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccines from astroawani.com and Astro AWANI app. I'm Cynthia Ng. We'll see you tomorrow.